Good evening, class.
Good evening.
How are you? Great, great. We are definitely moving right along in our professional medical billing and coding class. And I want you all to make sure that you continue to build on your previous concepts so that you're moving in the right direction in your learning, right? So let's just have a brief recap or overview so that we can make sure that as we move forward that we have captured those previous objectives. So as we know, in medical billing and coding, it's very important that we build our foundation, right? In building that foundation, you're focusing on things like medical terminologies. In those medical terminologies, we also like to think about anatomy and physiology. Want to ensure that we're understanding the body structures, the body functions as well. When you get into medical billing and coding, we code what we see. Absolutely. We code what we see. We don't diagnose, do we? No. We don't assume, do we? No. Absolutely not. In medical billing and coding, because we code what we see, documentation is so important. And as coders, you have to make sure that you understand what you see, right? So as we think about things like the body, the cardiovascular system was one of our previous chapters that we discussed in chapter 5, looking at the cardiovascular system. And looking at that, I want you guys to tell me some things in terms of functionality and structure of that system. What are the major organs or components of that system?
The lungs, the heart, the arteries, the veins, and the capillaries.
Very good. I like the fact that you said the lungs. A lot of times if you say lungs and you start talking about the cardiovascular system, people say, the lungs? What? Tell me, why did she include the lungs, Bridget? Why did she say the lungs?
Because it has a lot to do with the process that it goes through as far as the cleaning of the blood.
Very good, very good. Circulation, right? What do we call that type of circulation? Systemic and pulmonary, very good. Pulmonary and systemic circulation. So when we get into these circulations, this is the thing we need to make sure we capture. When blood takes a trip around the body and it deposits on the right side of the heart, when it leaves that right side of the heart, where does it go? Good, to the lungs to get oxygen. When it leaves the lungs, where does it go? Back to the heart. Now this is the kicker. What side of the heart, Pam? The left, right? Collects on the right side, goes to the lungs, gets oxygen, back to the left side, right? When it leaves the left side, it goes to the body. Absolutely, absolutely. So I have some cards here. And I want to do a little bit of Quizlet, right? Professional medical billing and coding style. So, what does cardio mean? Right here. Heart, absolutely. That is 1 point on the board. What is the function of an artery?
The function of the artery. It transports blood to the different parts of the organs.
It does. Yeah, what kind of blood is this? I heard it. Oxygenated blood, absolutely. Oxygenated, very good. We're 2 for 2. Let's keep going. Kate, I want to hear from you. What is the function of a vein?
Ooh, it is to carry the blood back to the heart and lungs to be cleansed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We call this not oxygenated, but deoxygenated blood. So when I'm saying this right and this left and this right and this left, I guess someone would say, why does she constantly talk about right, left, right, left? Is that important? Absolutely. Let me get a volunteer. Somebody, anybody, not all at once. Yay. Come on down, Bridget. So as Bridget comes down, what we want to do is illustrate why this right and left is so critical and so vital to us, right? So here we go. I want you to face me, Bridget. I want you to raise your right arm. I'm going to raise my right arm. what's happening?
Opposite side.
My right is actually her left, right? Raise your left arm. I'm going to raise my left arm. You see that? When you are looking from whose perspective? The patient's perspective. From the patient's perspective, you think of opposites, right? Thank you, Bridget. When we're looking at patient perspective, we have to remember that medical error is what we want to avoid. So when you're in medical billing and coding, when you're in any healthcare profession, medical error and quality care is number one priority, right? We want to make sure that we're avoiding error. So it's important that we understand not only coding, but the body, how it works, how it functions, so that when we see things, we know what we're looking at. When insurance companies ask you to send them diagnostic testing images, you know what to send. When they say the right side of the heart or the left side, or you know that your right is actually the patient's left. From whose perspective? Patient's perspective. I think you've earned another question. What is an arteriole? A what? A smaller artery. Very good. All right, we're 4 for 4. What is, don't look at the question. What is a venule? A what?
A smaller vein.
Okay, you are 5 for 5. Let's keep talking. You're too good for those questions. So, next thing. Let's go back. We are recapping. So we're understanding why the cardiovascular system or any part of the body is critical to medical billing and coding. Let's go deeper and deeper into the concept. When you get into understanding components and dynamics of the cardiovascular system, the vessels play a major role. And like you told me, arteries are important for dropping off that oxygenated blood. You told me that veins are important because they're carrying the deoxygenated blood back, right, to the heart. You also need to tell me about the next type of vessel. What is the function of capillaries?
To disperse the blood.
To do what?
Gas exchange.
Gas exchange. And are these the largest or the smallest vessels? Smallest, very good. These are the smallest or the tiniest vessels in which gas exchange takes place. So it's very important that we understand how these vessels play a critical role in the functionality of the cardiovascular system as a whole. Okay. Structure, right? Anatomical structure. You are a biller and a coder. You have to understand what you're looking at in the medical documentation. You have to understand what you're reading in the medical documentation, right? Here we go. What is another name for the upper chambers of the heart?
Atrium.
What are they?
The atrium.
Good. Say it like you mean it. You know this. Atrium. Yeah. The atrium. Good. Or the atria. Atrium is singular. Atria is plural, right? What is another name for the lower chambers of the heart?
Ventricles.
The ventricles. Absolutely. Y'all are so good. Look at that. During the cardiac cycle, now this is a true or false question. I want to hear from Barbara. Yeah. During the cardiac cycle, Barbara, systemic circulation does not take place. True or false? During the cardiac cycle, systemic circulation does not take place. That is absolutely false, without a doubt, right? Systemic circulation is when that body does what? Takes a trip, that blood takes a trip around the body, right? Drops off that oxygenated blood, picks up the deoxygenated blood, right? Okay, good. During the cardiac cycle, true or false question, this is for Kate. And then I'll leave this table alone. During the cardiac cycle, pulmonary circulation takes place.
Yes.
It does, so that's true. Very good. Tell me what that is. What is pulmonary circulation?
Pulmonary circulation is between the heart and the lungs.
Absolutely. Circulation between the heart and the lungs. That's when the blood leaves the right side of the heart, goes to the lungs. Get oxygen, comes back to the heart. Absolutely. Very good. Here we go. You're doing good. You're almost at the end of that. What role does blood play as it relates to the cardiovascular system?
Oh, it carries nutrients, and it also picks up and gets rid of the waste.
You said a great word. it transports, right? It carries the nutrients, it carries the waste. So it's that transport medium. Very good. All right. What color is blood that is high in oxygen?
Red.
What color red?
Bright.
Red. Yeah, that's important because blood is red, right? But the idea is, what color red is it when it's high in oxygen? How do we know it's full of oxygen? It is bright red. Absolutely. What color is blood that is low in oxygen?
It's more purplish, bluish,
Purplish bluish.
Dark.
Darker what? Darker red, or we call it crimson red, right? When we are looking in our illustrations of the books, the book color codes red and blue. The only reason that you see that blue is to show you that that blood is low in what? Oxygen, absolutely. But blood is red. Say it with me. Blood is red. If it's high in oxygen, it is bright red. If it's low in oxygen, it is crimson, yeah, or dark. But it's never blue because that's only for teaching purposes. That's only for comprehensive purposes, right? Very good. All right, now here are these questions will end the cardiovascular system recap. This is for all the big bucks, right? So we got to do this. Cardiac cycle. Blood leaves the right side of the heart and goes where? To the lungs. Okay, good. That was question number 1. Now, blood leaves the lungs and go where? What side? Absolutely, the left side of the heart. Finally, number 3. When blood leaves the left side of the heart, where does it go? To the body, absolutely, Pam. Yes, very good. So that is the end of your cardiovascular system recap. You did a fantastic job. Give yourselves a hand. So did we get enough? I have more.